We'll explore VPC networks. VPC stands for a virtual private cloud. A virtual private cloud is a logical isolation of a section of your cloud. A VPC network is something that you can set up automatically with a virtual topology configuring prefix ranges for your subnets, network policies, or you can configure your own. Cloud Router enables dynamic border gateway protocol (BGP) updates and routes between your VPC network and non-Google networks. VPN allows you to securely connect your existing network to VPC networks over IPsec. Segment your networks with a globally distributed firewall to restrict access to instances. Firewall rules logging let you audit, verify, and analyze the effects of your firewall rules. You can configure private communication across the same or different organizations without bandwidth bottlenecks or single points of failure. You can configure a VPC network to be shared across several projects in your organization. You can use routes to forward traffic from one instance to another within the same network, even across subnets without requiring external IP addresses. VPC flow logs capture information about the IP traffic going to and from your network interfaces on Google Compute Engine. These are some of the features that the Google VPC Cloud provides. A VPC network is a virtual version of a physical network that usually contains routers, switches, servers, firewalls, etc. VPC networks are global resources. However, subnets are regional resources. Each subnet defines a range of IP addresses. Resources within a VPC network can communicate with each other using internal IP addresses. VPC networks only support IP4 unicast traffic. No broadcast, multicast, or IP6 within the network is allowed. GCP offers two types of VPC networks. These are determined by their subnet creation mode. You have auto mode and custom mode. In auto mode, one subnet is automatically created in each region. You can add additional subnets manually. All subnets use the same predefined range of IP addresses. Each new project starts with a default network in auto mode and a set of default firewall rules. As new GCP regions become available, new subnets in those regions are automatically added to auto mode networks using an IP range from that block. Custom mode, you have manually created subnets as per your need. You get complete control over which regions and IP ranges you want to use. VPC network peering and Cloud VPN features require custom mode so as not to overlap IP address ranges. You can switch from auto to custom, but not vice versa. Production networks are usually in custom mode. When you create a subnet, you must define a primary IP address range and may define a secondary IP address range. The primary address range is used for VM primary internal IP addresses, VM aliases, and for load balancers. The secondary IP range can only be used for alias IP addresses. Every subnet has 4 reserved IP addresses in the primary range. You have the network, default gateway, second to last address, and broadcast. The network address is the first address in the primary IP range for the subnet. The default gateway is the second address in the primary IP range. The second to last one is used for future use, and broadcast is the last IP address in the primary IP range. For example, the IP address network has the last digit 0, which is the first one, and then for default gateway, it's 1, which is the second address. Second to last is 254, and the broadcast, which is the last, is 255. Each VPC network has an associated dynamic routing mode that controls the behavior of all of its cloud routers. Cloud routers share routes to your VPC network and learn custom dynamic routes from connected networks when you connect your VPC network to another network with a cloud VPN tunnel. Regional dynamic routing is a default. In this mode, routes to on-prem resources learned by a given cloud router in the VPC network only apply to the subnets in the same region. Global dynamic routing changes the behavior of all cloud routers in the network. The routes to on-prem resources that they learn are available in all of the subnets in the VPC network, regardless of the region. Unless modified by custom advertisements, each cloud router shares routes to all subnets in the VPC network with the on-prem counterparts. You can change the dynamic routing mode from regional to global and vice versa with no restriction. For an instance to have internet access, you need to have the following requirements. The network must have a valid default internet route or a custom route to 0.0.0.0. Firewall rules must allow egress traffic from the instance. The instance must have an external IP address or be able to use a cloud NAT or proxy with a target static route to 0.0.0.0. You can share a VPC network from one project called a host project to other projects in your GCP organization. You can grant access to entire shared VPC networks or just specific subnets. This allows you to provide a centralized control over the common network while maintaining the organizational flexibility. Shared VPC is used pretty commonly in large organizations. Here's an example of a shared VPC with peering. Network SVPC is a shared VPC network that's in project P1. Projects P3 and P4 are able to attach VM instances to that network. Then network SVPC peers into network A. So what happens here is the VM instances in shared VPC service projects that are using the network SVPC, which are VM3 and VM4, have private internal IP connectivity with any endpoints associated to network A. Also, the VM instances associated to network A will have private internal IP connectivity with any endpoints associated to network SVPC, regardless of whether those endpoints live in the host project or in the service project. In this demo, we'll learn how to create a new VPC. The instructions and the details for this demo can be found in the document VPC Demo 1, and this can be found in your lecture resources for this project. Now we are back here in the Google Cloud Platform dashboard. Make sure you have your billing set up and you're on the correct project. Press down here and click on New Project if you need to create a new project, or I'm selecting Networking Demo. So now let's go to the navigation menu and under Networking, VPC Network, VPC Networks. Click on this. So here we can see all the VPC networks that are currently have been created in this project. So let's create a new VPC network, press create, and we can set a name here, VPC Demo 2. And we can choose custom or automatic. So if I'll choose auto mode, And when you choose an auto mode, Google Cloud Platform is going to create subnets for all the different regions. So we can go down here. The dynamic routing is set to regional and press create. Now our VPC is being created. Okay, so now our VPC has been created. We can see VPC demo 2 and then set to auto. VPC demo 2. Demo 2, add subnets. So here, previously we created a new VPC network in the auto mode. And when that happens, Google Cloud Platform creates subnets in every region, a default subnet. Now, if we want to add our own subnets, we can do that by clicking on the VPC network and then click on add subnet and then set a name, demo subnet 1, and this is for this VPC network. And let's select a region, let's say US Central 1, and the IP address range, let's say 192.168.0.0/16. And we can also choose to create a secondary IP range if we want to, and we can also allow the Google API access or not. And finally, we can choose to turn on the flow logs. Click add, and now if we click on subnets, this is going to refresh and we can see that our demo subnet has been created. Demo 3, create shared VPC. So let's create a shared VPC. For that, let's go to our navigation menu, go to networking, VPC network, and shared VPC. So we can see that we can set up. Now we can see that there are 3 panes here: enable host project, select subnets, and give permissions. So first here, let's press save and continue to enable host project. So here we can select either individual subnets or we can say share all subnets. So I'm just going to say share all subnets and then continue. And then here we can select which project to attach. So I can select this, and then you can also select users by the role. And then you can choose if you want to also enable the sharing for Kubernetes or not. Then we can press save. Now this project, the current project is acting as a host. So this is the current host project, and then it's not shared with any other users.
For more details, check the link in the description. Learn with WITS Labs. Success certified.